I'm working now on Survey 2. Survey 2 is actually one big question, and all of the questions following it are related to the original question and really have to do with how I answered it. So I guess I'll just get started. Alright, Survey 2, Question 1, and the main question of the entire thing. Do you think that males convicted of rape or other serious sexual offenses against women should be castrated? No, in absolutely no way whatsoever would I ever endorse the idea of physical mutilation as a legitimate form of punishment. I think it's socially irresponsible to use physical mutilation as a form of punishment. I think that people who recommend this have sort of a revenge scenario going on in their minds, the eye for an eye for an eye sort of thinking, which historically has never stopped crime, has only created more contempt for the law. My answer to that is no, I do not believe that that should be the punishment for rape. So question 2, as related to my answer of the first question, what are your main reasons for holding this view and why did you decide upon it? Include any thoughts you may have had about its lack of value as a deterrent, its inappropriate use as a punishment, or the way it has been perhaps wrongly suggested to effectively control sexual behavior. I suppose I already did in a way. Basically, if rape is a crime not of sexual desire but of hate, then I don't see how castrating men in the names of women's bodily integrity is going to reduce the instances of hate that lead to sexual assault or violence towards women. And really it's an extreme double standard to sacrifice someone's sexual integrity for another person's physical integrity, or sacrifice a person's physical integrity for another person's physical integrity. I think keeping that sort of barbaric practice in law, keeping it going, will only continue the cycle of violence and hatred towards others. As long as you legitimize a violent and indescribably horrendous action towards someone, then you also keep that practice, you also, people who grow up in that generation, you keep in their minds that that sort of barbarism and that sort of physical retaliation is all right. It creates even in children's minds the idea that you can physically mutilate someone if they've done some wrong to you or some sort of perceived wrong to you. In my opinion, it will never change things for the better. It's also sometimes recommended that this form of chemical castration can be used, in which men are injected with something and their sexual functions just no longer work. And supposedly it's better because it's temporary, so once men return to the world and are deemed properly fit to function, then they will no longer be given these drugs and they will function again. Well, how exactly do you expect people to learn how to function in the normal world and treat everyone the same and treat everyone with respect sexually as their full selves when they are not their full functioning selves when they learn this lesson? This is something that I don't get. I don't think it's any more valuable than the physical kind either. That's my opinion, that it would not make a proper deterrent for barbaric behavior if it is in itself barbaric behavior. Question 3. If the procedure was eventually shown to be completely effective in either preventing repeat offenses or reducing the number of rapes, would you change your mind? Honestly, I don't think I would believe any statistic that said that it completely deterred rapes. Rape is underreported as it is, and I don't think that would change just because men are castrated. If anything, the threats or the attempt to make sure women didn't walk away from the encounter would only increase. I don't think I would change my mind because it's still, as I said, a very barbaric practice. I do believe, rape is a horrendous thing, but to do a horrendous thing, physically mutilate someone in the attempt to stop horrendous things from happening is to me just not going to be effective. As soon as to say that one horrendous thing is socially or justice-wise acceptable to people, whereas another isn't, well, that creates a double standard that you just can't uphold. People will, when you give people ideas of more horrendous things to do to one another, then they will. Especially when, and it's very difficult to take law seriously, or to take the idea of justice seriously when there's that kind of injustice that is otherwise tolerated within the system. And personally, I don't think that I would be able to live with the idea that, well, the fact is that some calls of rape are just accusations, an attempt to worsen someone's life by accusing them of committing a crime, and some people. And we still don't even use all of the DNA evidence that we have available to us, so some people are still falsely accused, not because a rape hasn't happened, but because they're the wrong suspect, and there's no way to otherwise know that, because during the attack it was dark, or there was a mask, or there's no fingerprints. So there are some people who are either rounded up as the usual suspects, or there are some people who just randomly get yanked out of their lives and accused of this crime. And the idea that they can be physically castrated because they were accused of this crime, either falsely, or they were at the wrong place at the wrong time, or they are otherwise innocent. The idea that innocent men can be castrated, that's one that would never sit well with me. No, you can't return people's time and their lives to them once they've served time in prison, but you also can't, once a surgical procedure has been done to correct the issue, there's no way to undo that either. So no, again, I would not support it. Question 4, related to the same subject. Do you think there is a double standard in the pro-castration viewpoint, the idea that males who commit sexual offenses should be dealt with physically, a type of reductionism? It focuses on the body, whereas no equivalent treatment has as yet been suggested for females who commit sexual offenses against males. The focus in those cases is purely on psychology, counseling, and other measures aimed at the mind. Is this a kind of sexism? Probably. Now, the instances of women sexually assaulting men aren't quite as prevalent as the instances of males sexually assaulting females. But I do think that if you're going to suggest physical alteration for one, then not doing so for the other is, yes, it's a double standard. It's a form of sexism. So seriously, if a woman raped a man, would you suggest taking out her reproductive organs or sewing her vag shut or what? No, you probably wouldn't. If you're going for psychology and if you're going for alternative forms of corrections, in that case, then you should for males also. Question 5, still related to the same subject. If the law changed to include castration, would you be opposed strongly enough to campaign against it? Yes, I probably would. I'm not the type who can keep their opinions to themselves anyway, so if there was a law saying that men who raped women or were convicted of raping women would be castrated, then yes, I would oppose it strongly enough to try and fight against it, and to convince others to do so as well. Because answering barbarism with barbarism isn't going to create less barbarism. And the idea of innocent men being castrated, being punished that way for crimes, it's a horrendous thought. I wouldn't want anything to do with it, and I would make sure as much as I could that it didn't happen. Question 6. Have you ever discussed your opinions with other women, and did they agree with you? Honestly, no. The topic of castration has not come up often. I have heard differing opinions on it from women who had been raped or had been sexually assaulted, and usually their opinions are of the opposite. I can understand that as a more revenge type scenario, as a there's a lot of anger when you personally have a stake in it, and when you personally have a demand for justice, then there's usually a lot more anger involved. I heard one woman say that, sex organs are meant for pleasure and for giving pleasure, and if they're used instead for pain and disrespect and violating someone else, then they shouldn't have them. Well, I guess that's fair, but it's also used for sex organs are also for reproduction, and reproduction, if you want to look at things in an evolutionary standpoint, reproduction is how you continue to live. It's how you continue to exist in the next generation, and the one after that, and the one after that. So, in a way, to me, it also seems not only like physical mutilation that lasts a lifetime, but it also seems like you are also denying that person the ability to breed ever, whether they become better people one day or not, who no longer want to hurt others. The idea that you have just taken them out of the gene pool, that's it. That's their last hurrah, and they will never get a chance to be parents and to become, if anything, I'd assume that perhaps men who have committed those sort of crimes against women could become better people once they have daughters of their own, and they realize that they don't want anything like that to happen to their daughters. Now, that's not assuming that they would. A lot of men who are rapists are just fucking horrendous people, and that's just, maybe they shouldn't have anything to do with society at all. But before you take away someone's, I think that would be close to practically taking away someone's entire life before you even find that out, especially if it's a first offense, or especially if they're innocent. And I don't think it is. I don't think it's appropriate. I have heard differing opinions from other women, and I can understand opinions born out of anger, and sometimes I can even understand those opinions that are all about the idea that if a person can only give pain instead of pleasure from their sex organs, then maybe they shouldn't have them, etc. But I just don't specifically support that opinion, but that's just me. And that is the end of Survey 2. I look forward to Survey 3.